Hello again, everyone. We're back again with the game preview. Hope you all had a great Festivus, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all the holidays. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We're going to try and do this a little more on a regular basis now. A bit of promo. If you haven't checked it out yet, we did record a special podcast for the World Junior Hockey Tournament. We previewed it with ESPN's Chris Peters and Nate Wells of our very own Zone Coverage Podcast Network, also of The Athletic. Do give that a look. We had some fun discussion about the 2018 World Junior Hockey Tournament that just started yesterday, including a big United States win over Denmark last night. So do give that a check. Also, we did have a Festivus show recorded over the weekend. Myself, Ben Remington, and Tom Schreier, we aired our grievances on the Minnesota Wild. You can find those shows here on the YouTube channel, or you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Libsyn is where we host the podcast. But anyway, on to our game preview, where we have the Minnesota Wild are at home against the Dallas Stars. You may not know this. They used to be by a different name. About that. Anyway, Wild come into this game losers of their last two hockey games. They lost to the Florida Panthers last Friday and then the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. Really couldn't have been much more of a sour end to the road trip for the Minnesota Wild. I'm really curious to see how they're going to come out and play Wednesday night against Dallas. Typically in the past we've seen them come out flat and then they just put on the break because over the holiday break you don't really get to practice with your team. If I remember right, last year the Wild came out of the break and they had to fly to their first game out of the break and they had no time to practice and game went horribly as expected. So really curious to see how the Wild are going to come out at home, place where they typically play well. And really, we're getting into a put up or shut up time. The Minnesota Wild are just floundering right now. I guess I shouldn't say floundering. They're just kind of floating there in the standings. They're not doing a whole lot to go up, but they're not really sinking yet. They're still in the race, but we're really pushing into the waters of it is time to do things. They were just outside of a wild card spot coming out of the break, but realistically, it's time to start collecting points. You can't be dilly-dallying around anymore like they have been. And otherwise, it's going to be really interesting to see how this team does at the trade deadline. And maybe not in a good way. Maybe they could end up being sellers, but that's really hard to see. So forget I said that. The Dallas Stars, they come in winners of their last two before the Christmas break, but really they've been kind of an underwhelming team this year when you think of how their offseason went. But they are fourth in the Central Division in a wild card spot coming out of the break. So really interested to see how these teams do in their first meeting of the year. The Wild won 4 out of 5 against the Stars last year. I believe that was an overtime loss, if I remember right. Shocking, I know. But, Dallas has their vaunted line. They got Ben Sagan. They got Radulov this year. And then they made some improvements on defense with Mark Mathot and in goal with Ben Bishop. And then also Ken Hitchcock behind the bench. Remember, this is his second stint with Dallas. And most notably was the coach of the St. Louis Blues until some guy named Yo took over for him last year. So, like I said, really this game has got to be the beginning of some kind of great run for the Minnesota Wild. They really can't afford to, play the way they've played any longer. They are not a good puck possession team. In fact, if you look up on Corsica, they have the worst Corsi for percentage at 5-on-5 in the National Hockey League. Of all 31 teams, that is not really a place you want to be. And goaltending has really, made this a much more palatable record than what it should be, because when you are getting this outpossessed and this badly out attempted every night, you're not going to win many hockey games. And fortunately, Alex Stalock has been very solid in net. He will be the starter in goal for the Minnesota Wild Wednesday night, no doubt. And if he had been how he was towards the end of his time in San Jose, the Wild would be in a lot of hurt right now. So really, again, you've got to tip your cap to him on how well he's done, but it's now time for the team in front of him to, as I said, put up or shut up, figuratively, because Dallas also coming out of the Christmas break. Ben Bishop will most likely be the starter in goal Wednesday night. So expect that. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel on this game. Like I said, do check out our most recent podcasts on the YouTube channel here, or you can find us on zonecoverage.com/wild. That's where all of our podcasts are. And I will be back after the game with some post-game recap. Hopefully, we'll be recapping a Wild win, but if not, expect some more doom and gloom from myself. So, yeah, that will do it for us, and we will talk to you after the game.